party people at? Where they at?
Get down. Time to get on. It's time to party. Hey, hey. It's time to have fun.
Welcome to episode 114 of Amari Purple Talk, a podcast where I share my thoughts on the Prince musical singularity. I'm Richard Cole, the Amari in Amari Communications, and every episode I break down everything in the world of Prince and all Prince-related music and artists, as well as genres of music that has had a major influence on his art. So if you enjoyed the content of this episode, please download and listen at your convenience. And also like, subscribe, hit notification bells, all that fun stuff so this show can reach many, many, many more people. And with that out of the way, let's get started on this week's show. And today I wanted to kind of touch on, just kind of my thoughts on how the estate is going, in regards to things that have been released, my personal excitement or some disappointment here and there. I know it's been relatively low key in comparison to what we've had in previous years, be it, a remastered version of Purple Rain with some tracks from the vault, which was cool. Then we had things like originals, piano and a microphone. But then things really started to elevate with the 1999 Super Deluxe, Sign of the Times Super Deluxe. In between, some reissues of some long out of print material from 1995 on. It just goes on. So we've been, I wouldn't say maybe not spoiled, but, our expectations are up there. And then now this year, we're less than a month away, maybe just a few weeks out now from the release of Prince and the Revolution Live remastered Blu-ray edition, 2 CD set, vinyl set. Exciting. The Gold Experience Record Store Day release. We're about a month and a few days away from that finally being realized. Even I think a week before or a week after is the actual reissue of the CD. Long-time listeners of Amari Purple Talk will remember campaigning heavily for this to finally make it among the reissues from Sony, from 1995 onward, because of the whole Most Beautiful Girl in the World lawsuit. That kind of held things back. Then Sony had to put out the Versace Experience, which I always felt was kind of filler, kind of biding time until this thing finally gets resolved. And it's now resolved, and we're now going to have physical copy of that on CD. The Gold Experience, have that on CD as well. So, again, it's exciting. But like I said, in comparison to how we've been spoiled by super deluxe editions here and there, and I don't think that it's going to come to an end. And I kind of like the variety, focusing on a single standalone live performance. Again, the Gold Experience, loved by many, kind of many people feel it's the best of his 90s output, or at least in their top 10 or top 5. So again, lots to get excited about. But then there's also the other side where, despite 1999 Super Deluxe, despite Sign of the Times, despite getting something totally brand new with Welcome to America. There's a few out there that are not as excited. Maybe always has something negative to say. And, that's okay too. To me, one of my favorite quotes from Prince in regard to his output is, you know what? Everybody's not going to buy every single album, but somebody is at least going to buy one. And that's cool. But, as I was thinking and trying to, put this show together or put this episode together, in comparison with other estates, man, I always use things like, say, Frank Zappa's estate, the Hendrix estate, throughout various episodes, kind of as a measuring stick, because they've been at it the longest. Somebody that's still walking the planet with us, like Bob Dylan and Neil Young. Heck, even when James Brown was still with us, there was a great deal of attention paid to a lot of, his reissues, detailed liner notes, sometimes remastered in some cases, but definitely deep liner notes, thanks to Alan Leeds, keeping a comprehensive record of all of that information regarding to the sessions, the history surrounding the recording of a certain track or album. Even then, somebody like James Brown, like, these are the things I kind of use as a measuring stick. And I get it. There's a lot of factors that I'll dive into as to maybe why some folks aren't quite as happy with the way things are going. Or some people are happy with one thing and maybe not another thing. But, let's go ahead and kind of dive into it. So we're going to kind of take a step into, as Prince would say, school's in. Teacher got a list of ideas. So let's go. Let's dive into it. So I guess the differences, I'll start with that. The differences between the Prince estate and other estates. I'll start with the Prince estate. No official plan for reissues or vault tracks during his lifetime. The exception being the 2015 Warner Brothers vinyl reissues and the Purple Rain Deluxe Edition. Now, Prince got a hold of his Warner Brothers masters in 2014. And me personally, I think there was maybe not a definite plan involved. I think I remember reading somewhere that there wasn't a concrete plan, beyond the vinyl reissues and the Purple Rain Super Deluxe. I mean, apparently Warner Brothers may have had plans for, say, like Parade and Sign of the Times. Given that even after 2016, those seem to be primed and ready to go. We did get the Sign of the Times Super Deluxe, Parade, for obvious reasons. Now that's one of the few cards that Warner Brothers has left to hold. So I can see them kind of sitting on that for a while and maybe waiting for like an anniversary, like a 40th or 50th anniversary to roll around. Now, maybe you might get a standalone reissue of Parade. That would be cool in the meantime. And then later on down the line, the Super Deluxe set. I would enjoy that. But, as forward thinking as Prince had always been, even though he did get his masters back, I don't think that was uppermost on his mind to say, like, again, Bob Dylan or even Frank Zappa while he was walking the earth. Because his thing with, beating the bootleggers and releasing a lot of his vault tracks, he had initiated during his lifetime. And then when he transitioned, that there was a plan in place to keep that ball rolling. So from 1993 on, there's been release upon release, whether it's, beating the bootleggers, cover to track, even in a lot of cases. There was a plan. David Bowie, another one. Of course, he knew at some point where his days were finite. So he had a plan. So I think the opposite with Prince was that, there wasn't, like I said, it wasn't the uppermost on his mind, but the importance of keeping that legacy rolling, it was more important to him to have those classic albums available on vinyl. And probably, in his opinion, that was the best way to listen to them, was in vinyl. And then have the Purple Rain Deluxe Edition be its thing. And then while he was around, it was held up. He said it was Warner Brothers' fault. Warner Brothers was saying he was holding it up. But, it took until 2017 for us to finally get that. The second thing, and probably the most obvious in relating to the previous topic, just absolutely no will whatsoever. So I'm not going to spend this episode diving into conspiracy theories and talking about, was there a will? Is there a will? There are people that feel that there's one that exists somewhere. There's some that say it exists, but it's been stolen or hidden or whatever the case may be. But, we won't get into that on this episode. But that being said, again, without having a clear plan and no, designated heirs handpicked by him personally, kind of, explains the kind of up and down, one release we're all yay, another release there are many, many detractors. And this kind of, going through the vault and say, hey, this sounds good. Look at what we found. Quick, put that out. Well, that's cool, but do we want that one though? We would rather have this release, that you have all of this, release this. But again, I look at, again, the Hendrix estate where, the father, Al Hendrix, was literally swindled out of his ownership of Jimmy's recordings. And it took a 20-year court battle to get it back. And once he got it back, first with him and his daughter, and then now his daughter, Al Hendrix's daughter, Jimmy's sister. To me, that's the gold standard of estates, along with probably Zappa, I would say, and probably David Bowie. Those are the kind of the gold standards of, what to do as an estate. The things that are set up, online presence, streaming presence, download presence, physical media presence. I think, those are the gold standards. And, me as a Prince fan, wish that there was somebody that could have taken up that mantle, to where he could feel confident, like, okay, I'm going to leave this in your hands. And when I'm gone, bang, it's yours. and this is how you roll with it, or roll with it as you please. I was reading recently where I think that Sean Lennon is now, in control of the John Lennon estate. Yoko is up there in age, and she may still have a voice in it. She's still around, so she still has control. But I think that what I read, if it's true, that she did pass full control of the estate to him. And I mean, he's the last few John Lennon releases, he has been a major presence, curating the projects and involved in the mixing, remastering or remixing or whatever's going on depending on the project. And, he's been more of a vocal presence, if anything else. And that's cool, and again, it's something that, I wish Prince would have been able to have an heir like that to, be in position to, take over and have that kind of hands-on, with the vault material or reissues, re-releases, and all of that. But yeah, definitely not having the will is kind of why, even though we get a lot of goodies, could be worse. You could be the Michael Jackson fans right now, and the ones that aren't kind of like in the clouds, like, oh, we're grateful for everything that we're getting. Me as a Michael Jackson fan, not so much. Not happy, because it's like, I'll digress for a minute. The handling of the Jacksons, you can't ignore that. The Epic Records period. Motown has given the Jackson 5 much better respect. The Jackson 5 albums have been remastered, at least as far as I know, maybe twice. There's 2 vault-related projects. There's 2. One you can still get on physical media. The other one was a limited release, both live albums. Jackson 5 Live at the Forum. If you can find a copy of that, I recommend you get it. And then there's another one live in Japan. That was a limited edition release. I forget when it was out, like 2007, 2008, something like that. But it was only limited to so many copies on CD, and it's hard to find. But you can hear it on streaming. It is available on streaming. Recommend you check those both out. But definitely, Motown has given the Jackson 5 and even Michael Jackson. I got the, what is it called? I think Hello World. I haven't listened to it in a long time. But it's the 4 Michael Jackson solo albums on CD, kind of like a box set. And it's nicely packaged. It's packaged like a little booklet. And it's got pictures and it's got the liner notes. So I mean, Motown has given them, the Jackson 5, much better respect. Sony, on the other hand, as great as they've been with Prince, as great as they've been with Bob Dylan, as great as they've been with Miles Davis. Come on now. Michael Jackson, probably the biggest entertainer on the planet. Yeah, we've missed Off the Walls anniversary. We barely got a Dangerous vinyl reissue, but no remastered anniversary edition. We done missed the ball. It's now 2022. 2021, you should have dropped some kind of remastered CD, box set, something on it. Now, today, as I'm recording this, there was an announcement for the Thriller 40th anniversary that's coming. 1 disc of bonus material, ladies and gentlemen, and the CD probably remastered for Thriller, probably for the 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8th, 9th time or whatever. you know, come on. Now, granted, Michael Jackson is different from Prince. Yes, Michael wrote a lot of songs, but those vault tracks that he has, yeah, if you're a deep, deep, deep dive Michael Jackson fan, there are, I guess, tracks that are circulating that do stand out. But to me, because Michael doesn't play on the instrument, all the instruments, I think it's a thing he'll go in the studio with whoever and then they record the song and he ends up with 50 songs and he kind of picks and chooses and sequenced his albums to the best of, his instincts. And the rest of the songs are, probably, yeah, okay, I can see why that was left off the album, But yeah, it's not like Prince where, yeah, there's 10 songs that could have been an album all to itself and would have kicked Purple Rain's behind, would have kicked 1999's behind, or, you look at something like Welcome to America, which is debatable. I love Welcome to America. There are people that are just kind of meh about it. But you don't have that with Michael Jackson. It's just that, okay, here's 50 songs that were intended for bad. Here's 50 songs that were intended for dangerous. Here's 50 songs that were intended for invincible. And that's it. And any one of those songs could have gone anywhere. Like that. Now, I get it, but it's two different things. But the Sony's handling of Michael Jackson material, and it's not necessarily them, the Michael Jackson estate has to okay that. And I get it. Their official statement on their website is like, oh, we're trying to be different than other estates. But you really aren't, to me, from where I'm sitting, even as a Michael Jackson fan, I don't see where that's happening with that. So, again, as Prince fans, we're pretty grateful for what we have. Whether, we like some projects over others, but at least we're getting an abundance of material. But like I said, that's different. But even with someone with a limited palette, like Hendrix, they still generate material. There's still live recordings and there's still material that still has yet to see the light of day, I think. But again, not having a will to designate somebody, like I said, where you have a Jimi Hendrix, where you have a Sean Lennon, whether you have Frank Zappa's family, James Brown's family, to really either okay things or kind of have more hands-on with the projects. You don't have that because there's no will with Prince. Next, again, carries over from the last one. No definite leadership role assigned for decision making. So when I look at, again, Hendrix as an example, you have Jimi Hendrix, but then you have John McDermott, who worked closely with Hendrix the duration of his career. You had Eddie Kramer, who was his engineer from record one to the very last recording. And so you kind of have that sort of hierarchy. So you have Jimi Hendrix that controls the estate. But when it comes to curating the vault and really putting these projects together, you've got John McDermott and then you've got Eddie Kramer. And together they go in and they've gone through all the vault stuff and, pick like, oh, this is for this project. Ooh, let's hold this one back. This is going to be for the box set. Oh, here's this like demo that we didn't know existed. So you kind of have that sort of in-house team, where you have at least two designated people. Because, yeah, Jimmy's sister was a little kid when Jimmy was famous. So she doesn't quite have that relationship. But because she has been the designated heir because of Jimmy's father when he passed, everything went to her. So she relies on John McDermott and Eddie Kramer to work on, to make this stuff make sense. They know what the fans want. They know what Hendrix would have wanted. And there have even been some recordings, like I said, when Al Hendrix lost control, there had been these recordings that had come out 72, 73, 74. And even though the person that put those projects together was somebody that Hendrix in his lifetime said, hey, I don't want this dude touching my music. That dude ended up coming out with these records. But the fans didn't know that. They didn't know any better. So when they bought these, posthumous albums, that's part of their lives. That's part of their childhoods, or part of whatever. Just like, we have Prince fans that were teenagers in the 90s or even later, where musicology was their gateway. They're not relating to the 80s like we relate to, and that's fine. I would say I'm a second generation Beatles fan, 1976, 10 years old. That's when I came in. I was, let's see. I was 5 months old when Revolver came out. So how could I be hip to that? I was barely 3 when Abbey Road came out. So how could I have been hip to that? I wouldn't have been. But, and my gateway was considered maybe not so much for the track choices or the song choices, but the packaging and everything associated with it was the worst compilation put together. And it was that rock and roll compilation. But I loved it. I'm 10 years old. I'm digging those sounds. Like, oh, yeah. And it wasn't anything wrong with it, but choices of the mixes, that was controversial. I didn't know that when I was 10. The cover. Yeah, at 10, I kind of had some questions on the cover because they tried to make it look 1950s. And it's like, no, this is a 1960s band. So when you open the gatefold, there's all this Coca-Cola and soda shops and milkshakes and jukeboxes and Marilyn Monroe. And it's like, wait a minute. Even I kind of had some issue with the cover, but it was like, hey, I saw that commercial on TV. I had to have that record. End of story. So, the fans love for the artist, whether you come in at the very beginning or you were there from day one or album 1 or album 3 and kept going, or maybe your gateway was album 25. That's all good. That is all good. But I think, unfortunately, again, we've got Michael Howe, and that's cool because I've always considered him sort of the Kevin Feige of the vault, of the purple musical singularity. But, he's done an excellent job in making sure all this stuff is cataloged. But I wish there were people that were a lot closer to Prince that had been there for, X amount of years. I know people keep defaulting to Susan Rogers, and I get it. For the classic 80s stuff, Purple Rain up to Sign of the Times, I can get that. But that's sort of the downside where, the Beatles had, I would say, at least for, Revolver through Abbey Road, Jeff Emmerich, the engineer, had a key role. And when it comes to, the remixes, well, no longer have George Martin, but that mantle has been passed to George Martin's son, Giles Martin. Again, so it's kept in-house because, at some point, father and son got to work together on a lot of those, like the Beatles Love Project. So they got to work together on stuff like that. And plus he was a little kid when his father was doing, Abbey Road and all of that. So he's got the sort of the firsthand accounts from his father. He's got the original studio notes, and he's worked with his father on stuff. So he's, that makes him qualified. But yeah, I wish going forward that they would kind of announce, put somebody in place that kind of has that closeness. Maybe you have to pick 2 or 3 or 4 people based on an era. Yeah, go on. Bring in Susan Rogers for this era. Bring in H.M. Buff for this era. Bring in Scotty for that era. And I'm sure they do. And that's, for consulting. But again, like I said, just bring somebody in. If it's not one person, 2 or 3 people that can, kind of keep some consistency with these releases going forward. Let's see. So the next thing would be the family has yet to benefit from the success. And I'm going to add success or failures of previous decisions or from previous decisions. The successes, 1999 Super Deluxe, brilliant. Sign of the Time Super Deluxe, brilliant. Again, they've got their flaws, but I've got a feeling that when Sony gets around to reissuing these for an anniversary edition, which I wouldn't mind seeing in it's kind of soon. So I would say probably 1999. We probably won't see the Super Deluxe again unless they do decide to reissue it later this year, which wouldn't be bad, just to kind of keep it on the shelves. Now everything belongs to Sony, so they'll reap the benefits of it. But I would say you probably wouldn't see a complete 1999 session box set until maybe its 50th anniversary, which is cool. We just have to eat our Wheaties and take our vitamins and work out every day and keep healthy and meditate and yoga and Qigong so we can be around for that 50th anniversary. But also the failures, because it has been a bone of contention with the family members that they aren't really fully included in a lot of these decisions. And again, the fan base has noticed when something is really, really questionable. Not necessarily the folks that are just, I'm just 80s, I'm pro 80s or pro 90s. That's what, pro 90s or pro 2000 something or another. The goal of this is to make money, period. Bro, it's show business, it's the music business. It's not, just because you're a Prince fan and you some cool person sitting in your room and you got every record, you got every bootleg, you got every poster, you got every video, that we're only going to do this just for you and you alone. Now, there's a broad base, there's the completist fan, then there's the fan of whatever era you're a fan of. And then there are people that are just like cool people, they, just have their high school memories, their college memories, but it's like them getting that 1999 reissue. It's no different from them getting the Cameo reissue or the Gap Band reissue or the Roger and Zapp reissue, the Parliament Funkadelic, the Lionel Richie reissue, Michael Jackson reissue. It's no different. Their memories are just collected right there. Like, oh yeah, that was the jam when I was a junior in high school, or that was the cut when I was, my first college party and all this other stuff. Those are people too you have to consider when you reissue certain things or when you represent certain things to the public at large. You're trying to reach a wider base. But when it comes to the box sets and special vinyl releases, and those are for the special vinyl people that love vinyl. These are for, people that are just music connoisseurs or, again, deep dive fans. And they have to think about all of that. But again, without those key pieces, like I said, somebody that was entrenched in the Prince camp, and I don't mean, I love the podcasts that tell the story of the albums and things like that. But, it's like, don't just drag these people out because it's like, okay, we're presenting you with this box set, and now here are these musicians that are going to tell you 10 stories. Some of them you've heard before, some of them you haven't. And I know that's a strong criticism, but to me, having those key individuals involved when it comes to certain releases, and of course the releases that they were actually a part of, somebody like Moore's Day, it's a shame that the estate has to beef over the name The Time, because no, you got a perfect opportunity. Here's somebody that was there in the studio while they were creating the tracks. It's Morris on drums, it's Prince on bass, and they're generating the idea. Prince takes the idea and, expands on it and makes it a whole song or a whole concept. Then Morris has to come back in and sing it, so there's a working relationship there. There's a wealth of information that you can gain that would only help those time releases going forward, whether it's reissues or whatever the plan is. But now, there's kind of a black eye in the game, because it's like, you done alienated somebody that was a key piece of the purple puzzle. So, when it comes to certain decisions that are made, and even the family aren't allowed to say yay or nay, then again, if it's something that's not benefiting a fan of that particular project, then no, the whole Prince musical singularity kind of loses out, really. It should be where everything is a celebration. Doesn't mean you're obligated to buy every single thing. It's going to get to a point to where, how much of this stuff can I really get? So it comes down to, it should be something to where like, okay, cool. I'm not a fan of that project, but I want somebody that's a fan of that project to embrace it and enjoy it. And I want them to get it at the absolute best quality that they can get it. Not because it's a cash grab, not because, it's a bunch of cats sitting in a room in suits that know nothing about Prince, that all they know is business, and this whole thing has been thrust upon them as decision makers. But you're not consulting, or you're not embracing the people that are left to be this artist's mouthpiece now, to be his sounding board, to tell you what he was thinking in that moment, to help make that project, the best quality project that you can present. For example, the Sony reissues of the classic Warner Brothers period. I don't know. I might skip to that. Let me skip to that one. Or save that one for later. So, kind of want to get off of this topic and go to the final point on the Prince estate, saying that Primary Wave plus the remaining heirs have yet to come together to come up with an appropriate plan. So here again, like I said, you kind of have these quote unquote decision makers that's in Comerica Bank. And like I said, there's been some hits and there's been some misses. And I'm sure other estates have had some things that like, oh, that doesn't work. And I've seen some comments, certain things that are released or announced to be released where the packaging doesn't look right, or you're only getting one disc of material, or you're only, somebody's going to have an issue with everything. There'll be an artist that could probably have the cure for cancer on an album and somebody's not going to like it. Sadly, that's just the way things are. But I do feel that the remaining heirs that have control of their stake in the estate, I'm sure they have some good ideas. I know there was that on Prince.org where they did an interview with Sharon Nelson, and I mean it was brilliant how not only for the org to say, hey, send us your questions, send us your ideas, and for Sharon Nelson to take those and say, oh, hey, great, thank you, these are brilliant ideas. Yeah, I would like to come out with some of this stuff. But at this juncture, she can't. I guess I don't know what the deadline is for the absolute transfer of power fully to the heirs now that all this court stuff is now behind them. But I feel if they and Primary Wave can get on the same page, hopefully there's no beef when this happens. Hopefully there's not, because that is also going to hinder. And I have a feeling that might be why there's this little bit of a holdup now, to where like, okay, well, we're going to do these little things like the Gold Experience, Prince and the Revolution Live. I don't think that these were really on, maybe the Record Store Day thing, maybe, because it's good that they've got the rights back to Most Beautiful Girl in the World, and they can release that on the album as it was originally released in 1995. I think that might be a definite plan, but I really don't see the Prince and the Revolution Live thing as being part of a plan. To me, now I could be wrong. I have no inside information. Nobody from the estate has called me up and said, hey, Richard, look, I got this great scoop for you. Listen up. But my personal opinion is that the Prince and the Revolution Live set, as great as it is, and even though I pre-ordered the CD, and it looks amazing, and it sounds amazing, I don't think it was part of the plan. I think it's just kind of a buffer to say, hey, let's get some product out there for the fan base, because right now the estate is in this sort of transition period. And I think, whatever major plans that were originally on the table have now been put on the back burner, or there has to be time again for Primary Wave and the other heirs to really sit down and figure out what to do moving forward, because they can't stall if they're going to be at odds. That would just hurt the whole Prince musical singularity if, we're not going to get quality product, for years. And also to think about too, there is this Netflix documentary that is on the horizon. And from what I've been hearing, there are certain things that are held up because they have sort of dibs on everything vault related because of how they're putting this documentary together. And they want it to be a very special thing. And I get that. That's cool. So maybe between the heirs and primary wave getting on the same page and then coming up with a plan would say, okay, past this documentary, this is how we're going to move things forward. And I think then we're going to be in store for some major purple goodness, some purple goodies. We're going to have to save our purple croutons and, and enjoy the purple excitement. I think that's what's going to happen. That's my prediction for what's going to happen. I think once, like the Prince documentary, the Netflix thing, that's going to take off. That's going to have some legs. Hopefully that's going to have a soundtrack that's like 3 CD thing or 3 LP thing. And that's going to have some purple goodness on it. That's going to blow our minds. And then I think from that point forward, I think we'll be getting into proper remasters of the Warner Brothers stuff, the 90s stuff, and then we're going to roll into, I don't know whether you do a 40th anniversary of Purple Rain, 40th anniversary parade, reintroduce Sign of the Times, but the complete Sign of the Times 10 CD box, whatever. I think we're going to be in store for that. I think that's what's going to happen. But again, that's hopefully Primary Wave and the heirs get on the same page. And I'm hoping that's what's happening in this kind of quiet that we're in. So again, I've mentioned other estates. Like I said, they've had a plan, whether, when they were alive or before they passed. So once they did pass, then there was something going. Unfortunately, with Prince, I don't think he had the time to really sit down and think about what his ultimate plan would have been. But, some names, again, that come to mind. Bob Dylan, Bruce Springsteen, Neil Young. What they're doing while they're still walking the earth. And those releases, or I would say with Dylan and Springsteen, the big bucks they made off of just cashing in. Because it's like, hey, they had a certain age. And it's like, I think this pandemic has really shown a lot of people in a lot of areas what's important. And, I'm sure Springsteen and Bob Dylan, as much as they love music, it's like, you know what? I'm not going to try to be out here. It's cool that the Rolling Stones can still do it. It's still cool Paul McCartney can still do it. But there's a lot of, it's like, you know what? I ain't going to be trying to roll out here, not to tour the country because I need to eat. It's like, let me cash in. Let me get this 400 million and, let me try to enjoy these last, whatever they've got, 10 years, 20, 30 years, whatever's left, let's try to enjoy it. Neil Young, he played the games against, like, I'm only giving up half. I ain't giving up all the marbles yet. But they were around to make those plans. Plans made during an artist's lifetime and, which carry through beyond their passing. Frank Zappa, David Bowie, James Brown. Again, those examples. Again, Prince didn't really have that plan, nor, again, I don't think it was that uppermost on his mind, or, it's kind of one of those things how you want something so bad, and then when you finally get it, sometimes you hit the ground running, like, okay, I'm going to do this and this and this and this and this. And then sometimes you just need to kick back. And I think he just thought, like, hey, you know what? Let me just go and kick back with these. Let me enjoy these. Let me bask in these for the next few years. Who knows? Maybe he was going to tie a reissue campaign shortly after, if he finished it, if he had a chance to finish his book. Maybe that was a plan. Who knows? Who knows at this point? But like I said, it is regrettable that, like these artists that I just mentioned, that, again, as forward thinking as he was, and is grateful for the albums that we did get because of that forward thinking. You know, in a little way, in a small way, it's regrettable that, you know, he couldn't kind of plan and or plan ahead like some of those artists that were mentioned. But it doesn't make those estates perfect. They've all had, you know, some of them have had some serious court issues. Frank Zappa, you know, his heirs, his family was beefing for a while. I think, it started over a documentary or something, and that kind of held things up for a while, but they patched things up as a family, and they've been throwing down with some releases these last, I think, 5, 6 years, 10 years. James Brown, that estate was held up in limbo for the longest. And finally, you know, that dust settled this year to where they were able to cash in. You know, again, regrettably, it's not 400 million like Dylan or whatever Springsteen got. But, you know, if they're satisfied with what they were able to cash in with, so be it. You know, so be it. Tom Petty, that's another one. You know, family was beefing for a minute, but they got that straightened out. Hendrix, again, we mentioned how the father got swindled out of the ownership, but once he got it back, one of his other sons was beefing like, hey, you know, I'm part of this estate too, and I'm owed some money. And they managed to settle that, I think, at some point. But again, you know, they're not perfect. They've got their fair share of problems too. And sometimes when you're dealing with that much money on the table, you know, family can turn to enemies in a minute. But like I said, in those cases, they did eventually patch things up, or things got straightened out to where, again, it doesn't, you know, the fan base doesn't suffer from lack of material. You know, that material is now able to flow at a consistent pace. So, you know, but definitely, you know, I would say check out Dylan, you know, just for the consistency. Zappa, that's another one that's consistent, but like I said, definitely their online presence, how they handle, or how he handled both in his lifetime and after his passing, dealing with the bootleggers. You know, like, okay, tell you what, you making money off my stuff? Well, I tell you what, I'm gonna beat you to it. So I'm gonna take your artwork and okay, that's the track listing you got for that one. Cool. Okay, so I'm gonna put this album out on my own. It's straight from my vault. It's in good sound quality, and I'm selling it at reasonable pricing. Now, who's got the last laugh? So, you know, I'm kind of hoping to see something like that for Prince in the future. And let's see. So I'm going to kind of wrap this up with what I like that has been done so far by the estate. And I'll just say 1999, Sign of the Times Super Deluxe. Very happy with those. Welcome to America. Really happy for that one. Originals, I thought, was the perfect first step in the right direction. Nothing against Piano and the Microphone 83. It was cool, but that was something I would have liked to have seen as part of the Super Purple Rain Super Deluxe, or a part of some Super Deluxe set. But I mean, again, it's nice. I know that had been circulating as a bootleg for the longest time, and to look on the bright side of that, that was one way to sort of beat the boots or bite the boots and get that out to the public. So now we have a good, pristine quality recording of that, physical media, both CD and vinyl. So that's cool. But the originals, though, I thought was a step in the right direction. The Sony reissues of the post 1995 material I thought, like, cool, that stuff is back in print. A lot of us, like me, either lost a lot of CDs or, had to be on that survival tip and, sell off a few things here and there. So it was good to be in a position to get those back, and again at reasonable pricing. Because sometimes, whether it's Amazon or eBay, some people get a hold of something that's out of print and they just want to clown. Like, here, I'm selling this for $200. No, thank you. I'm good. I'll just stick with my little, I did rip the CD before I got rid of it. So I'm good with that. But glad to have things back in physical media. A lot of those 1995 reissues. It's good to have those on vinyl also. Don't have everything on vinyl yet. I'll probably get around to it. But but it's nice to know that stuff is now out there and it's available. Like I said, I got a lot of the CDs that I had lost over the years. So it's good to have those back. And like I said, looking forward to the gold experience. Even though I managed to get a original Warner Brothers CD pressing, thanks to the people at Rocket Pool. There's a plug for you right there. So cool to have that, but also looking forward to getting the Sony CD reissue, and looking forward to trying to get this vinyl on Record Store Day too. So, but again, the reissues of the post 1995 material, something I'm very happy that the estate has signed off on. The Paisley Park Museum sounds like that was one of things Prince, was aspiring, or, can't think of the word. Something that he was definitely planning for the future. And I'm glad it exists. I still haven't had a chance to go. Looking forward to getting there. Wish I could go Celebration, but, got a lot kind of going on this year. And I don't know, maybe see about next year, but hopefully, but one day I will get there, even if it's not for Celebration. At some point, I want to go check it out, just to check it out and just see what it's all about. Looking forward to going one day. The immersive experience, that was something I did an episode on, I don't know if it was weeks or months before they even announced it. But I was like, that would be a good idea. Kind of something to get new people on board, or something for the fan base to enjoy. And it would be something different, something new, something original. But yeah, I'm glad somebody, had thought of it, obviously, before I did, because they got it to where I think this June in Chicago, they're kicking this thing off. So cool. I hope it does go like to where it can reach other cities. Again, wish I was in a position to even hit Chicago. I like going to Chicago. Saw F Deluxe there in 2013 at the City Winery. I always love visiting that city. But yeah, like I said, I doubt if I can make it for this thing, but if it can just make it here, or if it can make it to, if it just has a chance to just go around the world, I would like people to check it out. I would like to check it out. So with that, the things that I haven't enjoyed about this, about the estate so far, results of the lack of a definite plan, detail paid to some releases and not others, opportunity missed by releasing the Sony reissues of the Warner Brothers material without remastering and liner notes. Used to be a time when that seemed like that was reissue 101, where regardless if it's an artist that is with us on the planet or not, back when CDs got into the whole 16-bit, 24-bit, 20-bit, 24-bit remastering. That was 101. Usually, depending, you would drop like a box set first. And of course, it would have, the hits, some of the hits, some of the deep tracks, some unreleased tracks, and some live tracks. And then you just kind of whet everybody's appetite with that. Look, here's the artist box set. Bam. And then once you get hooked, then it's like, okay, now we're going to drop remastered reissues of the original albums. Because now you got to taste, because it's like you're reading these liner notes and you're reading the song titles and it says, originally released on such and such album, 19 whatever. And again, once you got after that box set, maybe the next year, bang, okay, here's the remastered original albums with liner notes and stuff. And you would scramble to get those. And again, depending on the artist, where they are on the planet, or if it's an estate thing, then you get into whatever, vault compilations, you get into live standalone releases, special releases, you get into that. And I get why they kind of, in one way, kind of rushed this out, was to, now we've got our hands on that classic Warner Brothers material. Let's make it available to the major mainstream market. So again, I don't think that these were designed for the Prince fan in general. It was for just to have that product stand on the shelves with every other product, to which, like, let's take, say, Walmart, for example. You walk into a Walmart and, you're just a typical person walking through Walmart. And it's like, oh, CDs, okay, or albums. All right, so here's the Eagles. Okay, here's that new Adele. Oh, Prince? Oh, okay, Let me pick that up. Oh, this album's of it. Man, I haven't heard this in years. Yeah, I've worn out my vinyl copy. I don't have my vinyl copy. Let me get the CD. That's who that's for. That's for that particular crowd. But I really wish they would have gone with the old-fashioned reissue 101 playbook. Remaster those things. Put some really great liner notes in there. And then now that's when you kind of bring the people that were involved. Have them talk about the albums. There's a few things on the album. Have like somebody that's an Alan Leeds to be the catalog liner note writer. Get Questlove to do it. Somebody to do it. So that's sort of my little nitpick of the estate when it comes to those. Now, granted, I did get the Sony Warner Brothers reissues, like I said, to fill some major CD gaps for sure. Because me, just like the Beatles in 2009, when it was announced that their stuff was getting remastered, then I went and sold off all my Beatles CDs. Because I was like, okay, because some of them were terrible in sound. There's a few kind of now I wish I would have kept, where the ones that did sound great. But, hey, I wanted the remasters because, like, okay, if they're going to do this, they're going to do it right. So same thing with Prince. When Prince announced that he got his masters back, oh, well, I'm junking these CDs. And yeah, whenever he brings on the new ones, but then I forgot who I was dealing with. It's like, no, he's not going to release those on CD in 2015. That's not happening. But there is a Purple Rain, so I guess if we got to go slow, I'll go slow. And just had the mindset of, oh, this will be like me rediscovering these albums all over again. But fast forward 2022, we do have, maybe not remastered, but I did do the CD vinyl comparison of Dirty Mind, so be sure to check that video out on the Amari Communications channel on YouTube. So be able to check, be sure to check that out for sure. I'm going to do more of those, so stay tuned for that. But, I haven't had a chance to rediscover these albums like I truly want to. It's just, the schedule just doesn't allow me to really unwind and really immerse myself like I used to. So, like I said, just looking forward to changing that dynamic, and try to live little bit of life again. It's like these are some great days and some great days that are ahead too. And, we should be able to enjoy those and live life. I think if this pandemic has taught us anything, is that just how precious that life is and that it's meant to be enjoyed and, not, as Prince would probably say, under the thumb of some corporate mamma jamma that don't know what's happening, And granted, we all have to eat. We all have to survive. We all have to follow responsibility. But like I've always said on this show, responsibility is cool, but just never at the expense of your divine purpose. And like I say, hopefully I can get a moment to really re-immerse myself into these records and kind of relive certain days of old and kind of, listen with some new ears too. One of the things I love about listening to Sgt. Pepper, I never hear it the same way twice. There are a few Prince albums that I have that experience with, and like I said, just kind of with this Dolby Atmos and 5.1 and all these immersive experiences with sound now with all the streaming services and the way things are mixed and mastered now. Yeah, I'm looking forward to taking a deep dive and looking forward to what the estate will bring down the line. Like I said, my prediction is we're kind of going to get some stuff, again, like got Gold Experience coming. We've got Prince and the Revolution Live coming, and that's cool. I'm looking forward to both of those releases. But I have a feeling that if there isn't a major, if there isn't a major big release in time for Christmas or before Christmas, then I have a feeling that we're probably going to see a trailer for the Netflix documentary, and that may come in time for Christmas, who knows? But I have a feeling that maybe by next year, we will have that documentary on our Netflix accounts, and we'll have like a soundtrack that'll, definitely have some hits on it, and we'll probably have lots of alt tracks on it and lots of live tracks on it. And I think that's going to springboard into everything that we're going to get 2024 and beyond. And I've got a feeling that we will not have very many, if any, episodes like this one ever again, to where like, oh, yeah, the estate, I don't like what the estate's doing. Oh, no. Or this one's great, that one's not so great. Oh, they could have done better with this one or that one. No, I have a feeling that things are going to start to slowly change for the better. And like I said, not that we didn't do a bad job. Again, we could be Michael Jackson fans. And, and those of us that are, I'm sorry, they deserve a lot better. They deserve a lot better. And like I said, Michael isn't the same type of artist as Prince, and I get that. That's one thing. But, remastered vinyl, remastered CDs. Okay, you got Michael, but I'm sorry, there's still a legacy with the Jacksons that, you could have released Destiny on CD. Even though there's nothing wrong with the 2009 remaster at all. That's brilliant. But you couldn't have reissued that and put some more liner notes in it, or Triumph. But what do you guys think? Are you happy with the way the estate has been going so far? Do you think it's been a gradual for the better, or has it improved gradually with each release? Do you think that they sort of hit a plateau with Silent Times, or maybe even Welcome to New York, and now it's kind of a scramble for ideas? Do you think that it's just a matter of Comerica fully transferring power to the heirs finally? And of course, Primary Wave is included in that. And do you want, this thing to where you want to wait till they're on the same page, and then they'll have a plan moving forward? Leave me a comment and let me know your thoughts. And that is going to end this episode of Amari Purple Talk. Remember to download on your favorite podcast platform. Like, subscribe, hit notification bells wherever you can, because we must whoop those algorithms. Gotta beat those algorithms. So tune in next week for sure. Getting back into the full swing of things. Probably first there will be another CD vinyl comparison. Haven't decided which one. I also want to do another video, but I'm going to keep that one close to the chest. It's going to generate some controversy, folks. I can guarantee it. So be on the lookout for that as well. Also check out the next episode. Until then, create your day and create your life. Peace.